What's up, YouTubers, man? How y'all doing on this Thursday night? Hey, man, just going to give you an update on the Fojill Telecaster. A lot of you know that I began a quest some time ago to just an experiment, okay? So you should know, by the way, that none of my videos are intended to be prescriptive to anything that you should or definitely should not do, okay? This is just my journey. This is Ted Talks Guitars and Life. So I want to talk a little bit about Telecaster tales. So I set out on a journey a few months back, really maybe going almost a year back, wondering about this budget craze, a video that I made that's gotten a lot of you amped up based on comments, and I just so appreciate all the comments on that budget craze guitar video I made some time ago. If you haven't seen that, you might check it out on the channel. And look, I know that I'm not a channel in the sense that I have thousands of subscribers, and you know, I appreciate those of you who have stumbled on to this little conversation, and maybe it'll be enjoyable, and if you have a good time, come back and hang out some more. But yeah, so I began this journey. So I won't go through the litany of all the guitars I've owned for the past 30 years, but I am, for all intents and purposes these days, a Telecaster guy. Mostly when I play in worship bands. I play in a praise blues band, men's retreats, church conferences, those kind of things. And so I'm a Telecaster guy because for me, Telecaster cuts above the mix a little bit better in that context, in that genre of music. So I began thinking about, is there a way that you can spend a little bit less money on a guitar like this? So this is a Squier Classic Vibe 50s. It is made in Indonesia, and I paid $450 for this guitar, and I put a couple $100 into it, and I did a whole lot of fretwork to it. So I was all in at like $600 probably, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears trying to get those frets figured out and got her set up pretty good. But she weighs in at 8.2 pounds, which for an old guy like me is starting to be a little bit of a no-go for me. So I began, and I went down the whole trail, man. I did a Glary, and we don't want to talk about Glary. And I did a Harley Benton, and Harley Benton travels are well documented on my channel. So if you want to see that, you can certainly do that. And most recently, I got my first FireFly, which was an FFTL Relic Telecaster, and that is also a long, strange trip that is well documented as well on the channel. So today I want to just follow up on the Fojill Telecaster, based in my experience with the FireFly. And although I had some challenges with the FireFly, that was mostly due to the way that they reliced that guitar. They just sandblasted everything, including the electronics, and I've replaced everything in that guitar. And I learned a whole lot along the way. Hey, thanks so much for all of you who are watching my crazy what do I do with this video, and making great comments, and even those who are, you know, picking fun at me. That's okay, I can take it. So that got me thinking, based on my experience with the FireFly, well, you know, hey man, that was a sub $200 guitar, and a little bit of blood, sweat, and tears, and a few parts. I've got that baby cranked up and ready to go. Let's do it again, you know. And so Fojill I've only seen them on Amazon. Several people have made Strat vids, reviews, those kind of things. And I saw one kind of review of a Fojill Telecaster Relic And it was, you know, it was a good review, and I thought, man, well, let me get one of those. So I picked this baby up, probably $179 after a coupon or something on Amazon. Got it relatively quickly, and yes, it is a Relic. Now, guys, I'm not buying Relic guitars because I'm trying to pretend like I'm some great super guitar player that's had this guitar for 30 years and this is all from being on the road, you know. No, I'm not trying to do that. This was for the Fojill particularly, and it's true of the FireFly FFTL. I wanted a basic telly, and I wanted traditional appointments, and I didn't like the glittery kind of stuff and the crazy flame stuff and the colors, or a modern Telecaster or a John 5 or anything like that. So basic Telecaster is kind of old boring guy like myself that does it for me. So I got the Fojill, and I did an unboxing and several under the hood videos. If you're interested in any of that, you can check that out. But I want to give you some updates on it. I've got it all reassembled. I've got her playing fairly well, I think. And I just thought I'd give you a little bit of an update. So remember now, my journey has been, I live, you know, on a budget like we all do, all guitars and books to the contrary. And so my thought was, man, you know, if I needed a second Telecaster or something to back up, or something to primary and let this old heavy Squire be the backup, man, I didn't want to spend $600 on that journey. Okay, so could I buy something sub 200? The FireFly, by the way, it's a great guitar right now. Everything I did to it. So what did I do to the Fojill? Well, there's things that I did that I don't know that you would have to do or want to do. You know, most of guitars and most of life is player preference. You know, we do the things to our gear, and we set our gear up the way we want to set our gear up. Hey, by the way, man, set your gear up however you want. Don't let anybody on YouTube, me, certainly not me, I don't know anything, but don't let anybody play you, man, and make you think you got to set your guitar up the way they set guitars up. Set your guitars up however you want to. Learn to do the work yourself, man. I'm having such a blast just learning stuff. So this guitar, I'll start at the top here. So on the Fojill Telecaster, these are the stock tuners. Now those of you who watched the Under the Hood vid about the tuners, I did a little comparison between, these are vintage split tuners, but the hole for the string is not very deep, and so I demoed all that. I won't get into all that again, that's on the other video. So I thought that maybe I'd swap those out. I've got actually the vintage locking tuners, split tuners that were on this Squire Classic Vibe. This has hip shot tuners on it, locking tuners, which I liked. So I was going to throw the old Squires in here, but you know what, man? So far, these tuners are holding up. So I would generally just buy some locking tuners and throw it on there, or in a pinch, you know, go to the shop desk and pull out those old Squire Classic Vibe vintage split shaft tuners and throw those on here. But I haven't had to. These tuners, for me, they're holding up. Okay, so I didn't have to buy new tuners. I did get a Fender Made in America string guide right here. And this is the kind where you have to drill a secondary hole because it's got like a tab on it that goes into the headstock. And supposed to keep it straight, although if you look really closely, my string guide might be a little bit crooked, kind of like I am. So, nut. I would say that I do think, I was debating about this in the unboxing. I have pretty much determined for me that this is a bone nut as advertised. I was able to file that down, and it looked like bone, and it felt like bone, and anyway, I've got that all dialed in and perfectly fine. I did find 4 unleveled frets if you watch the Under the Hood video. And so I have done all the fret work. I leveled the frets. The edges, there was just a couple of sprouty kind of things, bitey frets. So I just took care of all of them, man. I just did the whole thing like it was like they all needed it. And I know, don't do that. Again, don't do anything I do. And then what I did, man, I've been watching Sean over at Scar My Guitar, and he's got this little $15 handheld little Dremel thing and some polishing, metal polish. And so why not, man? I got one of those and some metal polish and went to town on these bad boys, and they are the shiniest frets I think I've had in a guitar. And so that might not be saying much compared to what you do, but for me, that's all right. And you know, man, there's no grindage, there's no sound, smooth as glass. The fretboard on this is really kind of weird, and I'm still not quite sure that this is actual rosewood. It did not absorb the conditioning oil the way most rosewood fretboards did. I'm not calling anybody out, could be rosewood. So I cleaned them up and treated it a couple of times. It was dry as a bone. The neck is, you know, man, it's just a little bit thicker than the FireFly. And I thought that would be a problem initially, but the more I play it, it's working out just fine. I didn't do anything to the back of the neck at all. It's not super sticky. It's not heavily polyed or anything. You can tell it's roasted maple. Supposed to be roasted maple. Looks that way to me. It's darker probably in person than it is on the video. The body, I didn't have to do. What would you do to the Relic body? You know, I didn't take any sandpaper to it on purpose. I did have a couple of mishaps while I was working on it. So I've added a couple of love marks on it. The strap buttons are fine. I didn't have to do anything with them, like re-drill any holes or anything with toothpick and wood glue or anything like that. So the body, it sounds, when you knock on it, I don't know that it sounds as dense as maybe the FireFly, but you know, I don't know, man, not a hollowy sound, but hollowish. But I don't think it is at all. But anyway, so yeah. So I got Artec Alnico 5 pickups. The pickups that were in it, I think they were fine. And again, so this is not a video where I'm saying, man, if you buy this guitar, you're going to have to spend X number of dollars. I replaced the string guide because I hate those metal tree things like many of you do, I know. I bought a Dremel and some polish just because I wanted to. You wouldn't have to do that. You could get that done with sandpaper or steel wool, however it is you roll. But I did, I put these Alnico 5 Artec pickups in the old FireFly and liked that pretty good, so I just got some of those and put it in. And they're working out just fine. Control, of course, I put in the Gotoh brass compensated saddles just because that's my thing. I put those on all my Telecasters. And so I got those. I've got it shiantinated all up. I did put a shim, 0.5 shim in the neck. Just because I wanted my action a certain way, and that allowed me to do that. You may or may not have to do that or want to do that. If you could tell, the pick guard looks really like I took sandpaper to it, like for an hour. Well, that's because I did, because when I was working on it, it was not relic at all. It was perfectly shiny and smooth, but I nicked it with something, and so I just said, well, let me just, I mean, man, if you can have one scratch, let's have 1,000. So I just went to town on it. I don't know, it probably looks really cheesy, but I like that better. I like it looking kind of destroyed than really pristine with one really long scratch in it. That's just me. I did replace, it had a box switch in it and it had the smaller pots. Now again, if you buy a guitar with a box switch and those small pots and those work for you, please don't hear me saying you gotta replace all that. You do not have to do that, man. If it doesn't sound right to your ears, or it doesn't function the way you want it to function, or do what you want it to do, then by all means replace it. But I'm just sharing my journey with you. So I got a wafer Musicali switch, and it switches. These are the original knobs. I kind of like those. I got some floor pots. I think both of these pots were $6 together. I had some, anyway, I had some wire and stuff that I purchased a while back. So I've replaced all the wiring with push wiring, pre-tinned push wire, because why not? And so what I did have to do though, and this may be the only kind of prescriptive thing here, is that I wired everything up on the control panel except for the pickups, and I was a little bit concerned. Initially I was concerned that I was going to have to bore out the control plate so that the pots, the large pots, so these are 250K full-size pots, floor models, $6. Okay, so, but I didn't have to do that. But I did notice that when I put the plate in, the wafer was hitting the bottom. So even though I'd never done this before, which is the beauty of buying a sub $200 guitar that I go into knowing that I'm going to mess with it, is I took the little Dremel tool with one of the little, sander tools that came with it, and I just went to town on the bottom of that control plate cavity, and got it where it all sat flush. I also got a Pure Tone output jack. I had somebody tell me, quit calling it an input jack, dummy. He didn't say dummy, he implied dummy. It's an output jack because it goes out from the guitar into the amplifier, but I think in common vernacular, most of us, when we talk about it, we think about it being an input jack, but this is not a debate at all. Okay, anyway, so I got a Pure Tone output jack. I think that was maybe $12, and maybe what I'll do is I'll put a list of things that I bought and the prices in the comments so that you can check that out. But the only other thing I did to it that makes it not stock is I bypassed the neck pickup tone, just because I don't ever use the tone control for a neck pickup. I do use the tone control in the bridge position from time to time, because tellies can be kind of bright and biting. But all in all, man, it's a done deal. It's a wrap. I've done everything to it that I'm going to do to it. And I'm not a good guitar player, but that sounds pretty good to me, tonally. Anyway, so my question was, did I have to spend $600 to have a really nice Telecaster that feels good to me, that looks good to me, that plays well to me? Not that I play well, but it doesn't fight me, and sounds good to my ears. Well, wherever you are in your guitar journey, man, whatever sounds good to your ears, whatever feels good in your hands, rock on with your bad selves. I'll catch you on down the road.